I am Vince Quinn, alone at the studio. I don't know if it's the BO, what it might be. I'm here all alone. John Barchard is nodding his head. Yes, he can smell me from home. Hi, John. How are you, my friend?
I'm enjoying some poopy diapers, so it's not much different than being in studio with you, you stinky, stinky man. Actually, Vince smells beautiful. I'm usually the one that doesn't shower, much like I haven't today, even. I'm a disgusting human being. So I'm doing great. I mean, come on, buddy. I said 0.5% chance that Dallas would win. And there's Dak Prescott, buddy.
Well, yeah, and we can let's talk about the disaster that was the Dallas Cowboys, especially at the end of that game. But first, John, I just wait.
Ooh.
Oh, where did this come from? Ooh.
Did they show up? Oh, my God.
Oh, there's 6 cases of liquid death that are all mine. They're all mine. I'm locking you out. I'm changing the keys. Fuck both of you. These are mine. And finders keepers, if you will. And I'm going to be chugging liquid death during the show. You better believe it. But
it's much better than this silly tap water I'm holding right now. So
yeah, you poor sap. So speaking of poor saps, let's talk about, first off, before we get into anything else with the rest of the Dallas game, I just need to talk about that final play. That final play was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. What a terrible play. What idiot designed that? None of it worked. Like Zeke snapping the ball. I mean, they spent time in practice, very seriously, practicing their running back snapping the ball to Dak Prescott. That was a real thing, and everybody looked around and said, "This is good? You like this? Yeah, I think this is good. You like this? Yeah, okay, let's keep doing this." And then splat. And then here was the other thing that was so bad about this. Kevontae Turpin, who I get, he's a great returner, made the Pro Bowl, they want to get him the ball. He wasn't behind anybody that was blocking for him. He was 5 yards ahead of the closest lineman and like 5 yards over. He was in a completely other stratosphere. I mean, it was just like there was no logic behind that play whatsoever. What the hell was that?
Dude, they were in, I bet you, when they huddled up, they're like, okay, guys, this worked at Boise State, and it's going to work right now. And that's what it looked and felt like, except the opposite of all of that, and it wasn't Oklahoma, and there's no Bob Stoops, and what an embarrassment.
You want to run Dallas? Yeah,
hell yeah,
let's do
I want
it.
to run Dallas.
Yeah.
Here you go, San Francisco. Here you go, San Francisco. That's right. Is that how that works?
It's so funny, man. And to consider that it's like the same situation as last year. Dallas has the ball. Clock is running down. They're trying to get down the field. Last year, Dak Prescott slides in the middle of the field, and they can't execute the spike in time. It's just like it was such a clown show at the end for Dallas. And you just look at what's going on with them. They are so peaked and so over. Like, nobody has confidence in Dak Prescott at this point. It's over for him.
In Dallas, absolutely it is. Done. Like, they have done it again. It is highly impressive that, and by the way, fuck you or all the Cowboys fans who've been, just reposting our stuff all the time. How's it feel on a Tuesday afternoon or a Thursday afternoon or whenever you're looking at this shit? Surprise! It's the same movie from 26 years ago. The Talk Boy, everything. You're looking at this. This is new. This is different. And you have ruined 2 of the greatest finds in QB history. Not a joke. You cannot find, other than Tom Brady, you cannot find Tony Romo undrafted and have all that talent around him and not do something about it. You cannot have Dak Prescott picked in the 4th round, much like where Kirk Cousins has been picked and has been paid way more and has played way fucking worse. And yet somehow that's acceptable. And Dak Prescott's the piece of shit. And Tony Romo is the piece of shit. Jerry is beautiful at manipulating you guys every single year. And that's not a hyperbole, I think, by any nature at this point, because it's the same marketing cycle every single year. And then the Dallas Cowboys throw their hands up in the air when the cap problems get too hard, or they got to pay a cowboy, or they got to pay their quarterback. That's the job, dickhead. You can't have Dak Prescott and putz him out through the media and say he's the next thing of he's going to walk on water, and it doesn't matter that he eats spaghetti and ranch and chicken together. Like, it's just this guy's going to go and do it. And then you prop him up to be the next Joe Burrow. You prop him up to be the next, whatever. And I think we're kind of maybe doing that with Jalen now, and it's kind of hard not to. But, he's not Joe Burrow, and he's not Patrick Mahomes, and people want him to be, and he's already exceeded the expectations and where he was drafted, and now they want him to be something that he's not. For all of, I will happily make fun of Dak Prescott. We have all year, but this is an organizational problem. It always has been. Got into Cowboys Twitter about that yesterday somehow. They have never ever been a threat. Like, it is completely reversed now. I don't know if you feel this or not, Vince Quinn, but I even hate to bring his name up because it just makes radio callers appear. But this is what it felt like during Buddy Ryan and fucking, after Dick Vermeil and all that other stuff. I wasn't really around for all that, but I've heard about how destructive all those times were. And this was it. This was the Cowboys spanking the Eagles for 25 or 30 years. And now, how does it feel, motherfuckers? This is what it was like before you won all those dusty-ass Super Bowls. This is what it was. And now the Eagles are building something that will absolutely slap you in the face every single year. You might beat them in the regular season, and you guys get excited about this shit, but Jerry is going to take you through the window washer and just empty out your pockets and make you feel nothing at the end of the year. And there's no difference between them and the Redskins other than PR or the Commanders or Dan Snyder, the whole
football
thing.
team. Whatever it is these days.
It's incredible to watch something so bad get propped up every single year by everybody, even outside of Dallas. ESPN, Dan Orlovsky. Did you see how everyone turned from last week on Dallas is the most dangerous, amazing team in the playoffs to, oh my God, they have a long way to go to figure out these issues. They were always there. They were always there, and you let the win total blind you in a weak NFC.
Well, and Dak wasn't good enough. If Dak Prescott was the guy that he used to be, which was a very efficient player that could make great plays on the run, then this team could have easily beaten San Francisco. Dak Prescott threw the game away. I mean, the guy had 2 picks. He looked awful. He was not good. After the game, that's the first thing he talked about. Oh, I'm going to get better. I'm not going to throw all these interceptions next year. I mean, good luck. That's what they need. But it is so bad over there, and that's the thing. It's the cultural elements of this, right? Guys over time. It's on a simple level, it doesn't fully fit, but live long enough to see the villain. Jerry Jones set that precedent 2 years ago when they paid him, and he was like, "Yeah, we paid him a lot of money. This was a mistake.
I didn't want
but
to,
we did it anyway." Yeah. So you set that table, you set that tone. After this game, the Cowboys official Twitter account had a tweet of yeah, so the Cowboys had a chance to beat San Francisco, but Dak Prescott gave the ball away 2 times. Thanks to those self-inflicted wounds, 19 San Francisco, 12 Cowboys. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's a completely insane thing, but that's the culture around there now. Is this guy who was the golden child is now is he good enough? We paid him all this money. Was this a mistake? Are we stuck? They're worrying about those things right now. So it's a weird mood, and that's why you look here in Philly and you see everything around Jalen Hurts. I don't care what happens this week. I mean, they're going to win, and we'll get into that eventually, and especially Thursday. They're going to win. They're going to the goddamn Super Bowl.
You tone it down, sir.
No, they're winning, and they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm just telling you right now. But everything around, regardless of what happens, let's say they were to lose, right? Then I don't think anybody doubts Jalen Hurts and the direction of this franchise and whether he's the guy and his ability to play in big moments. Nobody worries about that. Dak Prescott is going to have that over him now until he beats it. He is Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs until he could finally get over the hump. But, these aren't the Dodgers, and I can't see them getting to that kind of point where he's got, 4 chances in the World Series to shake it off. You know what I mean?
So, I see, I really disagree with this. And I know that, some people – well, 2 things really on this. One, the Eagles – forced the hand here. And I know I've brought it up, but I think it's very under talked about, especially when dealing with this exact situation. Reminder, the Dallas Cowboys wanted to draft Jalen Hurts to avoid exactly this. And that was their way out of this. And as soon as Howie Roseman snatched him up, There's no more way out of it. You either have to pay Dak or you don't. And in that time, you would have been insane not to do that. And I still don't think they're insane to do it now. I still think he's a top 10 quarterback. The problem, even though we were wrong about the win total, Vince Quinn, we were right about everything else between the cap. Amari Cooper wins you that football game. Ezekiel Elliott has not had a touchdown in 6 weeks, with the yards per carry around 2 per 6. That's money for a wide receiver. Also, in doing so, you paid Michael Gallup a bunch of money. And I think he's got a Quez Watkins problem big time that's under talked about, because he's not as good as Amari Cooper at all.
No.
And he's been injured over and over again. And when he's targeted, interceptions happen. And a lot of the oopsie-daisy interceptions that, for some reason now, football Twitter's just forgetting. It's like, oh, it actually is all Dak's fault now. No. 7 to 8 of those were thrown in the direction of Michael Gallup. So, you also have that on top of a coaching staff who is coaching so scared. You want to know why? Because they're getting fired. There's no way that Tom McCarthy or Kellen Moore or whatever is making it through this. Dan Quinn is gone as well, obviously, to somewhere, because that's what he's been prepping for this entire time, or he's just going to take over the Cowboys. Either way, you're moving on from what I don't think Dak has had the same coordinators for back-to-back years in a while, or whatever it is.
He said Kellen Moore for at least 3
right.
years now.
I apologize. You're right, but
he's been here for a little while in Dallas.
But going from what we know now in the NFL and going Jason Garrett and McCarthy are enough is pretty ridiculous. These are guys that Jerry can control and loves to put the blame on basically everywhere else. And so, it is, to me, the most exclamation point in the season of when you can look at the Cowboys and the Eagles and realize that Dallas Cowboys fans so badly want to be the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's a complete reversal, like I said before, but tangibly you can taste it now. We are the smartest team in the NFC, hands down, and they know all the analytical shit. They praise Dak Prescott using those charts day in and day out, except for some reason, when it comes to the end of the season, it goes back on the guy that is giving them the best chance to win. And I still think they can if they had a smart general manager that gutted all the bullshit that's in there right now and actually put a better team around Dak Prescott. I don't think it's enough. Sorry.
No, they constantly make mistakes with the cap. This goes all the way back to one of my favorite moments as a fan, period, was when they had to cut DeMarcus Ware. While he was still great, he was still absolutely elite, they had to cut him because they couldn't manage the cap. He went to Denver. He won a Super Bowl immediately. It was so great. But stuff like that's always been their problem, and it's paying guys like Zeke, and then you're getting rid of Amari Cooper, cap stuff. Now you're going to get in a situation where, look, that team was not nearly as good without Tony Pollard. They needed him. He is a big play guy for them in the running game, in the passing game. He's just really dynamic. They didn't have that in the second half of that game. The offense sucked. They lost to a team that scored 19 points. I mean, say what you want about San Francisco and that offense, and Brock Purdy and the defense, whatever. They've got a lot of talent on that team, on Dallas, on both sides of the ball. And they don't max it out because as great as they are at drafting a lot of times, they're not good at maintaining it long term, and they hit ceilings. So now they're looking at Dak Prescott wow, money's going to keep kicking in for this guy. This is a problem, and how do you get over the hump? And if he keeps throwing interceptions at this rate, they won't. They'll never get this close again. And they were still 2 wins away from getting to the Super Bowl essentially. So good luck to him. Good luck.
Yeah, and the thing that keeps propping them up is that scouting department. It's like they're the Philadelphia Flyers if the scouting department was amazing and allowed the owner to do all this stupid shit with the cap.
Scenario, isn't it? Imagine that.
Yeah, they just market way better and all that other fun stuff too. So, as by the way, you can see on YouTube right now, Vince Quinn is enjoying that Liquid Death can. It's making me very jealous. He's also wearing the sweatshirt, which I think is one of their best. Have they told us what that one specifically is? I'm sure you can see it in the store, but
comfortable.
It's
I
quite
don't know
comfortable.
what the item is. It's a black hoodie though, and it's got it's basically got a skull and crossbones. It's like a skull on top and a fire on the bottom. It's like a burning flame on the bottom. But
Taylor Cordatis can tell us if that means anything cooler than these boomers are saying right now. But it's an amazing shirt. It's an amazing water. And if you go to liquiddeath.com/bell right now, well, not only can you find where you can get water at your nearest 7-Eleven, or if you're on the other side of Pennsylvania Sheets, Walmart, there's a ton of different places by you, around you, for sure. But it also gets you 20% off all the merch. Really helps them and the podcast when you do that. So liquiddeath.com/bell. And another reason why I think, well, I'm not jealous of Vince Quinn for this, but I do think a lot of people are jealous of one Nick Sirianni. And I don't know if you want to get into that now or if you want to talk some quick San Francisco impressions, but I'm fine to do either. I kind of love that our Philadelphia Eagles head coach, everybody hates him. Everybody hates him. I think they hate him more than the quarterback. And I think the combo of those two things has just powered a lot of talking heads, maybe even players, to just be like, I want to see these guys fucking lose. Do you feel like that's where we're at here? No one is rooting for us.
Yeah, oh, nobody. No. When do people ever root for us? And especially now that the Eagles have
The
won a
17
Super
run,
Bowl?
people were rooting for us. Like,
Okay,
Giants
against the
fans were like,
Patriots.
I hope you guys win.
Well, yeah, everybody hates Tom Brady. Fuck that guy. But for everybody else, for any other team in the league that the Eagles could play, almost like 9 times out of 10, people are going to root for the other team. They just are. They don't like Philly. They don't like the Eagles. And when you get Nick Sirianni and he's nodding at the camera and he's putting the chain on in the post game and all that, like, yeah, of course people are going to hate this guy. But you know what? Fuck them. Fuck all of them. Who cares? Like, all of these people would love Sirianni if he was their coach. They would. The guy shows up. He's passionate as all hell. The team has gotten better. We've seen that. I mean, what's their record from the time they went on the win streak last year? You know what I mean? His record's amazing. The guy's winning games. Now he's winning playoff games. He's doing it with the 1 seed. He got a guy in Jalen Hurts that nobody believed in, or not many people believed in. And what do? He turns him into almost the MVP of the league. So as a coach, he's been phenomenal. And for anybody that doesn't like him, they don't like him because he's not there. It's really that simple. But, you know, Philly likes him enough, I think. I think there's some people that love the guy now, and that's the kind of thing. Other people are like, well, he's winning games and all, so yeah. And if he wins the Super Bowl, he's just a bona fide legend, and he's going to talk all the shit. So get ready for that, because I think it's coming.
Who doesn't like Sirianni locally? I haven't
I
seen
still
that.
think-
Well, there's a few.
Yeah?
There's
Okay.
those strong bullshit South Philly Italian dudes that are like, this guy's a joke. He's just pandering. And I think that's part of, I don't know. Do you guys, I believe it's bullshit to hate this man the way he's constructed the program inside that locker room, because we were outright ripping this dude for flower beds and all that. And now they've all bloomed overnight with fucking Miracle Grow, and he's picking off seeds and going, see? He's even got a couple of like banana trees that we didn't even know were there, some avocado trees I didn't even know was possible to grow around in this climate. Like, you're just going, holy shit, dude, Nick, you grew a lot of stuff and it all bloomed. And he's going, yep, and taking a bite of a fresh apple and making sure we know that there's a huge forest behind this thing. Like, I don't know, exactly. Like Vince said, fuck him. Everybody would love this guy. If he was the head coach of the Colts right now, I'm pretty sure that they would like that a lot over Jeff Saturday.
Yeah,
I love
players
the
like
personality.
him. The players like him, and that's all that matters. He really supports his guys. He works incredibly hard at it. He's getting the results, and he's feeling himself a little bit. He's earned this with the amount of criticism that he's gotten from everybody everywhere, including this city. Nick Sirianni has every reason to be confident, to celebrate, to show some attitude. And look, you want a guy that has confidence, right? Like, on the most basic level, it's a dumb thing in the grand scheme, but like, the Eagles are in the red zone. Nick Sirianni's down there. He's yelling at the ref. He's like, hey, I know what I'm fucking doing, all right? Like, it's one of those things where you're like, well, yeah, good. Like, he's the head coach of a football team. What do you want? You know, like, oh, we just want a guy that's quiet and does the right thing and wins 5 games a year. Well, great. Let me go get Lovie Smith, and we can have him coach this team to a number 2 pick in the draft. You're all welcome.
You asked the question. Let me make the answer. I need him to do the Italian hands the next time that he says that phrase. Hey, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
These Menegans don't understand. Yeah, I hear you, Nick. I hear you.
All that's
missing. He's earned this, man. I mean, think of some of the things that he's gotten flack for. For example, rock, paper, scissors with draft prospects. We crushed him for that. Crushed him. People were like, what is
douchebag?
Yeah, he's so competitive. This is weird. Like, I don't get it. Who cares? You don't have to get it. You're not on the team. He didn't draft you. Like, is he winning football games or not? That's what you want as a fan, ultimately, right? People always fuss about the other things. We want the finer details. We want the perfect guy. We don't want guys with egos, whatever it might be. You want people to fit in, like, very neat boxes. But at the end of the day, you're a fan of the team, and you want to see them win games. And that's what he's doing, and he's doing it consistently. And it's to the point where, and this is what's really interesting. So I'm listening to Robert Mays, right? Like, he's one of the few national guys.
Here we go.
Robert Mays is great.
I know he is. He is. Obligatory. Just remember the 17 run. He was so up the Vikings' ass. That's probably why he persuaded you to say what you said on CBS. So
no comment. But here's what I got to say about it all is I'm listening to Mays talk a little bit. He's going through all the coaches coaching openings across the league. So head coach openings, and then he was getting an offensive coordinator openings. There's a lot of them. There's like 10 offensive coordinator openings across the league. So he's like, man, well, let's go through this team and that team and this team and that team. And as he's doing it, I'm paying attention to the list. And some of the guys that he's saying, Shane Steichen, Jonathan Gannon, Brian Johnson, Kevin Patullo, Marcus Brady. Like, I heard 4 or 5 names from the Eagles coaching staff that are all up for promotions and actively getting interviewed by teams around the league. And when you hear that, you go, holy shit. Like, and to Sirianni's credit, look at what he's built. I mean, this thing was so ambitious and bold from Roseman, from Laurie. They brought Sirianni in before you get Doug Peterson. They go, Doug, this is Jim. Meet Jim. He's your new best friend. And they're like, no, he's not. But they win a Super Bowl anyway. And for Sirianni here, the whole situation is go bring in your guys. Do what you want. Find your people. Go bring them in. So great. Steichen, Gannon, Sirianni, Brian Johnson, all these guys come in together. They're all incredibly young, incredibly inexperienced. They get so much better from the beginning of last season to now. And now they're all getting these interviews. Like, there is a real possibility that after this season, this coaching staff is already in his second year picked dry. Like, there's 4 people that are just gone from the brain trust.
Couple of things here. One, I want to touch on what you said about Nick Sirianni because I think it's amazing. And do you think I'm correct now? Because I think I said, where were we, boys? Like 3 or 4 weeks into the season? He kind of reminds me. Oh, no, it was in the offseason. He does remind me of New Age Dick Vermeil. Now that we're here, he's totally New Age Dick Vermeil. And that's why I think it's same amount of cheesiness because, like, you know me. I'll cry just like Dick Vermeil will. But he, like, it had that, cheesy-esque, like, we're going to be winners. God damn it, we're going to be winners. And this is that, like, version of that. It's just amped up because, the Italian hits. Secondly, are we going to be dead on balls correct? Because Albert Breer this morning floated out that the Eagles will be very aggressive. Now, could just be for negotiations and Sean Payton's staff. But I think that's been overblown. We've always said Vic Fangio's basically running this thing in the shadows. It does look like the Texans are tanking for Jonathan Gannon and just going to accept that promotion there. Marcus Brady's being floated around, and he's currently a consultant with the Eagles, and he was just an offensive coordinator with, the Colts. Were we right? Are we going to get Vic, and are we going to get Marcus Brady? And if I just want to say it has to be exactly that. If Vic Fangio gets hired as the DC during these replacements, and it's either Brian Johnson or Marcus Brady as OC, I think we were right. I think Stoutland's the brains, Nick's like the other big brain, and that person just has a better feel for game day stuff.
Well, yeah, if it's Stoutland, Sirianni, and Vic Fangio that's the brain trust, that's pretty great. I mean, that's really
Let's
you
rock
can't
and
ask
roll.
for much more. And the only other element to this too, another guy that you didn't mention that would also fit that Fangio mold at this point, Frank Reich. I mean, if he comes back and he's the offensive coordinator, now you've got a veteran offensive coordinator, a veteran defensive coordinator, a young head coach. And then you see all the position coaches, you can fill those things out and get different ideas. If you, to your point, because the guy that you love and has been back in the interview cycle, Joe Brady, right? Let's say Joe Brady doesn't get an interview, or he gets the interviews, he doesn't get a job somewhere. So all the young guys here, they get cleared out. They're part of the reason Brady doesn't get that job. They go, hey, man, come in here, be a passing game coordinator like you were at LSU or whatever it is. You'll get your shots here. All these guys just got promoted. Our roster is great. And you're probably going to get hired somewhere else in a year or two. Like, you can be that place because you have these veteran guys on both sides of the ball to guide it and keep it stable. Like, that's the risk you run with these young guys. And it's a great risk, which is, hey, they're all good, and the team is great, and all these other teams want what you've got. So it's fine to get that. But, like, Vic Fangio isn't as in demand anymore. It's just to be a defensive guy. Lock him into that job. He's not going to go anywhere else. He's already been around this roster. It's an easy thing. And then it's just, all right, well, I need help with this end or that end. Let me get a guy for that position, this position, whatever. But it's all the same. Like, it's just such a good situation to be in. So I think it's crazy that they're getting this kind of love already with all of these coaches and coordinators across the league. They're all these teams are interested. And that they have a backup plan in place that, like, most teams would kill for, and that's the backup plan. Is like, if Gannon doesn't, if he does get the job and he doesn't stay as our defensive coordinator, this guy that's like, what, 36, 37? Like, he's not that old. In fact, he's incredibly young for the NFL. If that guy doesn't get a head coaching job in a place like Houston, well, then I guess, he's here, and we won't have Vic Fangio, who's one of the most respected coordinators in the league. Like, it's
probably
insane.
of all time. Yeah. Yeah. It's, because there's, I just, if you think I'm a little nuts on this, or Vince is a little nuts on this, in terms of like the Howie shadow ban, which is what I think I'd like to call it, there's always somebody in the staff that you got to figure out who's it going to be. Who's it going to be? And just as a reminder, from the Super Bowl year, early on, we forget about this now, but we all thought John DeFilippo was the actual brains behind the operation because he had the OC experience and because Frank Reich didn't do that good of a job with the then San Diego Chargers. Everybody's just like, oh, well, it's this guy, it's this guy, it's this guy. I feel like we're doing that right now to Shane Steichen. Like, it's him. It's actually like probably somebody behind him, or, like a Vic Fangio type, like Marcus Brady, hanging out in the back and just going, boom. Because I will remind everybody, the passing game offense got immensely better the moment Marcus Brady was hired as a consultant. I don't think that's a coincidence.
I don't think so either. So we will see if other teams pick up on that and whether or not he's here next year. But the fact that everything's moving the way it is right now is really encouraging and kind of crazy. So it's just something to step back and appreciate. Like that gorgeous hat you've had on.
Woo.
By the way,
Dude.
I'd rather be watching the Birds. It is corduroy. It is Kelly Green.
You know
it
what's
gets
weird?
the ladies excited. It's
excited,
everything
Vince
you could ever ask for. Ladies, you'll look amazing. You'll get the fellas excited. It's just an
Well, that's
excitable
true, too.
hat. That's all it is.
Do you know how easy it's going to be to get a date? Not that the ladies would never have a problem with that anyway. If you're wearing this beautiful corduroy hat on top of your head, especially at a NFC Championship game tailgate, my goodness. It's a conversation starter, more or less. And I honestly, there's only two hats I wear, and it's this and the Liquid Death one. And man, oh man, it just... when I touch, I can't stop touching it sometimes. Is that weird to say to you?
No, corduroy's awesome. This fact that will not surprise either of you is I wore corduroy pants all the time in high school.
Of course you did. Of course.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, oh, this feels great. I hate khakis. They feel too much like I'm in an office already. I'm gonna like take a sidestep and I'm just gonna wear corduroy all the time. So the feeling's so good though, and I feel like it's a warmer hat because of that too, like the thickness of it. So especially now it's colder out, and if you're wearing that, I feel warmer.
Yeah.
In the cranial region. because of that hat.
And because we're celebrating the Dallas loss, and because Nick over at Forbidden Canvas is such a freaking amazing person, all you got to do.
All you got to do. There's your Italian hands, John. There you go.
One, if you're listening on the podcast, it's in the description. And guess what? If you're watching on YouTube, it's also in the description. But just use the promo code LaughabouTLoudDallas. I said it like a boomer. LOL Dallas is the promo code. That will get you 20% off the hat. And some great news. He literally just texted. Nick said that he will also extend that 20% off to the Jalen Hurts The System shirts, which he's only making 50 of them. Go to forbiddencanvas.net or just simply click the link in the description down below. Oh, my God. Taylor Cordatis, speaking of some things that need to be taken care of and questioned and asked about, can you tell us what is going on with Ticketmaster? Because you did a beautiful job of tweeting that at Bell and the Bird. Make sure you're following us over there. It will more likely be Taylor's voice making sure you know what's going on. But what Ticketmaster Day was a little fucked up, yeah?
Yeah, so, I mean, this has been happening with any event that Ticketmaster's been selling for the past 6 months. But Eagles tickets went on sale today, and there's this bullshit term that they have called dynamic pricing. And
Love
by
that.
that, it means the more attention an event gets, the higher the price spikes up. So all of the Eagle fans are pretty much getting screwed because obviously everybody wants to go to this game, and the prices are like, it's a joke at this point. Like, nobody's going to be able to afford these prices, especially at this point in the comedy. So it just sucks seeing all these fans getting screwed over for something they're dying to go to.
Was this, is there any like current ticket price up that you have seen or noticed, by the way? Because I'm sure it's all gone to third-party sellers at this point.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I know the traffic was insane for it, so I'm not even going to bother trying. But, I mean, people on Twitter are posting about it. Like, yeah, it just sucks.
And if you've been going through it, by the way, hit us up about that.
Please.
Whether it's in the Discord, we'd love to hear from you, or you can hit us on the text line, 215-509-5833. So, again, 215-509-5833 is our text line because, yeah, that stuff is always so brutal. And it's so frustrating as a fan because, like, it's hard enough as it is, right? You're paying so much just to park. The tickets generally are expensive. The food is expensive. Now you get all the fees on top of it. Now you're competing with all these third-party ticket vendors. And here's the other side, too, is that when the games go to shit now, it's not like it used to be. Like, remember the Process Sixers? There were times where people bought tickets for, like, $5. Not even. They'd buy a whole row for $5. Because nobody was going to those games, and those are the benefits you got as a regular person. And they were like, oh, we can't do that anymore. So then they set these price floors, and it's just the way they continuously keep raising the floor and the ceiling at the same time. It just sucks, man. Like, these teams are never going to look at you as a fan and go, you know what? We're making enough on this. We're making enough. For whatever this is, we're making enough money. It's good. It's always just, no, more. How many things can we work into this equation? How can we drain you out? And it's going to get to a point where, like, any major game basically becomes the Super Bowl. And it's just going to be, all right, it's basically all rich people, like corporate sponsors and whatever else and family, I guess, of the players are going to be the only people that are going to be able to go to these games at some point because just nobody can afford to go. It's terrible.
And it's worth mentioning Ticketmaster is the first place where the tickets are available. So it's pretty much monopoly. If you want like an okay price, and by okay, I mean like the standard for that is insane at this point.
And that's why it's crazy, too, because just like sports betting and just like Ticketmaster, like every single NFL team is in bed with Ticketmaster. That's how their ticket exchange works. Like, for people that haven't gone to games recently, like there's no such thing as paper tickets anymore. It's all digital. It has to be on your phone. So like it's all filtering that way. And the old school way, and some people were even chiming this on all our social accounts too. I couldn't agree with them more. Like, at least have the opportunity, which is also why I think the NFL is trying to drive for like that neutral site, thing, because it's we complain about it. It's already too expensive to go to your local fucking NFC Championship game. Good luck. $1,500 probably to get a shitty seat minimum at this point, or whatever it's going to be. I would rather have the opportunity to go like at least chase something in Canton, Ohio, where I know it's going to be there.
Again?
Hold on. This is a perfect time to bring it up because like if you're going to do this shit anyway, I'm just talking about in a very strictly monopolized thing where the fan is not going to have a choice. And it looks like we're not going to have a choice for a long time. If Taylor Swift and Pearl Jam can't fucking bring down Ticketmaster, the NFL is not going to either. Collectively, maybe they could try and do something, but I want one of two things. Either that happening where I have an opportunity to go see it at a neutral site. I can book for an entire weekend at the Pro Football Hall of Fame or whatever, but somewhere where it doesn't change for fucking 5 to 10 years. You know, if you're going to set it up this way. Otherwise, the easiest thing to do, which I hope the Eagles are waking up to this, just like you guys said, have a release at the stadium for at least 25,000 tickets, maximum purchase 4 tickets. That's what you do. You camp out, you sell them at face value, you go old school because that's what you had to do. You had to sit at the fucking ticket box office and hope and pray. And I think season ticket holders got taken care of through the mail if they wanted to, and they had first dibs. And whoever didn't, you go to the box office. And we have to go back to that because all of the other third-party assholes have those like eBay snipe things to get ahead of you in the queue. And it's all just artificial intelligence and money at that point. You can't compete with that as a regular fan. Fuck you, Ticketmaster, for like the 25th year in a row. I hope you burn down all of the venues that you're associated with business-wise, and like there is a different way to have tickets distributed at some point in time. Someone, please God, give someone $1 billion just to take them down. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with most of that. Yes, tickets at the stadium, Ticketmaster sucks. It just happens all the time, every single year. And they just squeeze more and more out of it. I mean, there's just it's awful. I get, it's business. Yes, like I understand that for a lot of the things that happen, but at some point it just gets so ruthless that they just, I just don't know who it's for anymore. Like it's just becoming an elitist thing to be able to say that you're going to a game. It's so hard. I mean, what's it going to cost you to bring your kid? Like, hey, I've got one single kid, or I have
down
2
payment
kids.
on a house, probably. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah. I mean, and for regular season games, I'm not even talking about, playoff game, NFC Championship, Super Bowl. Like, all those things are out the window. Just to go to a regular season game, I mean, what, $200 a ticket? Something like that minimum. You're paying $50 for parking, of course, with kids, soda, hot dogs, whatever the hell else. Like, I mean, God, you're paying like $800. And if you get it on Ticketmaster, it's probably like $15,000 in fees. So it's just crazy, man. So yeah, I hate all this stuff. I'm glad people are pissed off. You should be pissed off. You have every right to. I mean, there's just no respect, no care for the people that make this thing happen. So it just really sucks, and they can rot in hell, and that's why I'm watching at home. So,
yes, and that's why we're both watching at your place, baby. Tell them what's happening.
Well, yeah, so what we're going to do is, if you haven't seen it yet during the year, so we always live stream, and we've been doing that for the home games throughout the whole season, and we're going to be doing that. I mean, hey, 1 seed, baby. Home games, we keep on riding. So live stream NFC Championship game. So Sunday, 3 o'clock. That is happening. John and Taylor are coming over to my place. I'll bake you some wings because you've insulted them. So I'm going to make you wings. I'm going to force you both to eat my wings and give opinions. Jamie will probably we'll talk to Jamie Calf Barbecue soon, and maybe that's a Super Bowl thing.
Save us, Jamie, please.
Yeah. So feed us ribs. But. Yeah, so we're going to do that live stream, NFC Championship game. Get on YouTube for that. That's where we're going to be. If you're not subscribed to YouTube now, hop on there. All the podcasts are also on YouTube, so you can go check us out there. Plan is, because we are going to beat the 49ers, and I will tell you why on Thursday. We will go through all of that. But once we beat the 49ers and we go to the Super Bowl, we will live stream from my house for that, so we will live stream during the Super Bowl as well. Can't wait to have you along for the ride, folks. It's going to be fun.
Also, with the anticipation that the Birds are going to win, you might want to subscribe to our TikTok and Instagram because we're going to run right to fucking Broad Street the moment that happens and be like, they fucking did it, and we're in a pretty good place of where Vince is in the city, and we think we can get to Broad Street pretty easy. So we will literally be live streaming to Broad Street, and then once the cell phones all collect together and there's no way to live stream out anymore, we're going to do a show in the middle of Broad Street. That is our plan. We hope to God that it's just like chaos. It'll be like the old ESPN days with Chris Berman in the 70s of people shoving fans away just to get a word in. And I live for the chaos, and so does Vince, and so does Taylor. So we hopefully will be bringing you the chaos, and make sure you're subscribed everywhere. Take us home, Vince Quinn.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been so much fun. We got a great game coming up this weekend, and we're going to win. So all of that is on Thursday. Again, I'd rather be watching the Birds hats. Go pick those up, bellandthebirdmen.com. Subscribe on YouTube, and we will see you on Thursday. Go Birds, baby!